public meetings order will start with pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sorry. Roll call, President is Commissioner Soliano, Commissioner Wilcox, Commissioner Notaro Francesco, Commissioner Pratt, myself, Renee Shippey, and Commissioner Von Dossel. Not present is Kristen Bono. So let's just move right into it. Are there any comments from the public?
This is Terrence McGrath, Chalker Beach. Just thank Chief and Captain publicly for having the bike patrol officers come up for our July 4th festivities in the morning. We do two different parades, a walking parade for young kids, and then we do a golf cart parade that we decorate in awards, and the two patrol officers were up for it in the bike patrol side. Chalker Beach, I'm sorry, what did I say? Chalker Beach. Sorry about that. And then Chief stopped by in the afternoon and spent 10 or 15 minutes chatting at the beach with me, so it was great. Just a thank you publicly.
Excuse me,
Thank you.
just give me your name one more.
Terrence, Terence McGrath.
And CGRA.
ERAT, right.
Thank you.
Just to, you were the gentleman that was here last time or
Correct, yeah.
before. I apologize. We do not have a leash law.
Yeah.
I did the research and I did not find it anywhere.
We've been working through it, so I
Okay.
think we have a good plan.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Larry, is there anybody on the?
We do have 4 people online. If anybody online wants to raise their hand if they want to speak.
Is there anybody online that would like to speak? Please raise your hand.
I do not see any hands raised.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. Moving on, is there any correspondence? I have none.
No, thank you.
I have one that just came in today. Do you mind?
Okay.
So. Okay. Thought I had it. If not, I'll speak to it. I do have it. So this correspondence came in this afternoon, from a local business owner, and resident of town. He's just commending, one of our officers, actually 2 of our officers. It was unique, and this is the reason I wanted to read it, is because he's essentially saying, and I'll read it out loud, that he's been stopped by officers for motor vehicle line violations. And he's in the wrong, and I think he admits that, but essentially, as opposed to the opposite of who we usually get, people annoyed with the stop or making citizen complaints because of the stop or the reason for the stop. He's commending the officers for the professionalism and for actually doing that and making our town safer. So it was nice to hear, and it's a unique letter. So I'll read it. It's from a gentleman, Jack Pergosa, his name. It says, "Dear Chief Onofrio, I want to take a moment to share some positive feedback regarding Detective Simpson. Most people take the time to contact the department only when they have a complaint. So I felt it was equally important to acknowledge an officer who consistently conducts himself professionally. Detective Simpson has pulled me over a couple times during the past few months for relatively minor matters. During each interaction, he remained courteous, composed, respectful, and professional. He handled each situation appropriately while treating me with dignity and explaining himself clearly. As someone who oversees the department, I thought you should hear directly from a member of the community. One of your officers represents the department exceptionally well. Even under circumstances when someone is being stopped by the police, Detective Simpson's professionalism stands out and deserves recognition. Please make a note of my appreciation and extend my compliments to Detective Simpson. Hats off to your department, especially to him and to Officer Egan. Respectfully, Jack Pergosa." So I know Jack is a business owner in town, but he also lives in town. So that was a nice note to get. I haven't actually had an opportunity to speak to either of the officers yet, but I wanted to make note of the police commission tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on, discussion of possible action regarding the minutes for the regular meeting of June 22nd, 2026. I entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I
move that we accept them as submitted.
And I second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions? Okay, Moving on to executive reports, just one quick thing, I won't interrupt you, but at some point, when I came to make the agenda, we discussed a couple things, so I just wanna make sure we do cover all of those, so I might ask you something. as we
Yeah,
go
please, if
along.
I missed anything, please. Yeah,
Okay, they're
redirect
not
me.
trick questions.
No, my God. So we're on to operating budget. So we don't have the year end right now. So what we're really presenting tonight is what we're funded at and what we've expended in the first 2 weeks. Which isn't much, really hasn't been any great expenditures. You know, I'm pleased with the budget. I'm pleased the Board of Finance really supported, my big department as well as this commission, and for selectmen. So I think it's a budget we can definitely work within. Our focus are definitely gonna be professional development. As well as keeping the staffing levels, where we need them to be and keeping the officers deployed. We're in a safe level where they have enough backup and the town has enough resources to cover all the calls coming in. Really haven't had a lot of expenditures yet to speak of, but we are starting to continually get, building expenditures. And a lot of times those are unforeseen, just like this past, week, we have the HVAC company come in today because we had some issues with some zoning issues and one of the units in the ceiling, rooftop, was out, it was offline, so we had them come in. And then we have some plumbing issues, based on, we didn't have a pressure regulator on the building. Some things have changed in town, over the course of, since the building's been built, and I think the water company has increased the pressure on the lines. Which we didn't have a reducer in place and we're starting to blow some seals, especially in our lockup. So we've had to have, plumbing company come in and start the repairs on those, which are becoming costly as well. And those are things I just didn't anticipate. It's tough to project things like that, but, we're getting fixed and hopefully we're, you know, as we get further in our budget year, I'll be able to explain where we are, with our expenses and, you know.
So those are not reflected in this document.
They weren't, you know, we did anticipate some unknown expenses in building maintenance, but nothing significant, nothing large, you know, nothing more than, you know, a few $1,000s. Which if they keep adding up, they will be in excess of that. So I just want to bring that to your attention. So I mean, I'll answer any questions we have, if anybody sees anything in the operating budget.
Yeah, I have one question. The overtime on field service
Yep,
is at 33,000.
in field services,
Yes, in field service, the year-to-date expenditure, 33,328. In overtime.
yeah, that's just that's also, remember, salary Saybrook.
Okay,
That is a large
I was
expense there.
wondering what the bump in that was.
Yeah, so
If it was
that's,
vacations or something.
and that's also, we have a couple also in maternity leave too. But yeah, the bulk of that is gonna be salary Saybrook, which is about $18,000 in itself. The fireworks or the drone show, yeah, that was the same night, but we had an event several weeks earlier, what was it?
4th of July, too.
Oh, 4th of July, that was, so 4th of July is captured here too.
Right now.
We did increase staffing,
Yeah, that,
so I hired 8 officers in addition. Because, you know, not only was 4th of July, but it was also a weekend and we had, 250th anniversary of our country. So it was a bigger event than we typically anticipate.
Is Celebrate Saber falling into July? I know it was in June, but because of the pay period.
I think because of where we fell with the pay
Okay,
periods.
perfect. And great job with that, by the way, that's a huge undertaking.
It was fun. It was, you know, we had, thank God my staff knew what they were doing. Jen D'Amato and Pat Hanley, Eric Williams, were amazing. Malaya, Lieutenant Millardo. Really, it's refreshing to see, not only do they have the knowledge base and how to organize it and plan it, but in terms of the muscle and the sweat equity, that they put into it, they were really, from 5 a.m. till 11 o'clock at night, they were out there moving cones and really making the event successful. And, you know, we don't have a ton of resources. Who really bailed us out as well. Public Works was absolutely amazing, but the fire department, where we didn't have the labor staff to do, they stepped in and they kind of plugged the holes. So that was refreshing and it was sorely needed, so thankful for them.
I don't think a lot of people realize, they think the event is from Ford or whatever, that there's a million hours before and after. You know, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it starts really early, just the staging and the organization of it. Days before, putting the power out, pulling off things and organizing it. I mean, we were having monthly meetings for 9 months before.
And the next day.
Couple medicals, no major incidents, couple lost kids that were traveling quickly. I just lost in a crowd, not really lost, but, no, it was successful.
That's great.
Yeah. Off budget, kind of the same thing, there's not a lot to report. We have some expenses in the police uniforms awards. 12th of May, dispatcher Scarpini was a long-time dispatcher, resigned and took a job elsewhere, but she's still helping us. For the FOIA and records component, so we had some pizza and some, ice cream cake for her, so that's what we'll see, those two expensive Dairy Queen and Saybrook pizza. The July 1st, medical priority consultants is their EMD, that's our training, quality control for our dispatchers. Then you'll see the two deposits, for the state grants. That's reimbursement for training for the dispatchers, so we got $1,585 and then another $880 reimbursed from the state. That's what those deposits are. There was an expense, Cheshire Sports from police admin, $1,125. That was, so the officer, that was my doing. The officers put so many hours into Celebrate Saybrook that I wanted to be able to give them something in appreciation of the department and the town. So we just had t-shirts made, so just lightweight t-shirts that say Old Saybrook PD. It's just like be able to give them something to show our appreciation, so that's what that was.
That's nice.
Driver safety fund, there's really no nothing to speak of on that. So I think that's all I have for our accounting.
If you have any questions.
No, but I just wanna note that my happiness at having the size of these off-budget accounts gradually being consumed.
Yeah,
And
we're trying to use the money appropriately and within what it's there for. We have used some of it for, our big expense this past year was the vehicle outfitting, whether it be a K9 vehicle, a patrol.
Motorola.
Yeah, that was huge. So things like the radars, units for the car, came out of the driver safety fund. We were able to almost fully outfit the K9 car out of the K9 fund. So we're within the category it should be, and we're using it appropriately. So it's good. Make sure we remember personnel matters, is that right?
Matters.
Personnel matters, I'm gonna have the captain speak to a few things. I have a couple things I wanted to talk about before. He's gonna speak to a couple of civilian complaints, status that, I know we had some questions about, the outcome of them, and we're just gonna briefly touch on those. I do have a, maternity leave request, which I'm going to grant, for an officer, and she will be. She's already on reduced duty right now, restricted duty, and she expects to return, after the birth of her child, January 1st of 27. So I have that, she'll be out for the 12 weeks, which she's granted through the Family Medical Leave Act. So we will, for a short time, have two officers, thankfully out on maternity leave at the same time. So, but we're in a position, staffing wise, where we can absorb that. We have hired a dispatcher. We're authorized for 9 dispatchers in the department. We had one longtime dispatcher resigned and took a job elsewhere that was better suited for his family. So we went down to 7 for a short time. We were able to hire a young man, who's really a pretty impressive individual. His name is Joshua Stewart, and he's starting his training August 1st. That'll bring us to a complement of 8 full-time dispatchers, compared with our complement of per diem part-time dispatchers as well. And then that's our professional development. So I'm gonna have the captain speak to a couple civilian complaints that came in and give the outcome of those.
Okay, so, that 2 civilian complaints, one of which, the complainant, there was incident at his residence, not too much detail there.
Yeah, we're no names.
Okay. So there was an incident at his residence, which initially came in as a home invasion, and it turned out not to be. However, the individual was not happy with, in his mind, how the old Saybrook PD responded. So he disagreed with the suspect not being arrested for trespassing. But in the case, that suspect was actually invited by a resident, right? So there's some, it was up in the air whether or not the complaint was withdrawn, but the suspect had no knowledge of that. So there's also the individual, the complainant complained that, or reported that OSPD failed to provide him or her with video and reports and things of that nature, and that was not true. The information was provided to him or her. There were several attempts made by myself to speak with the individual to meet or come to common ground, and this person did not want to meet in public, so we spoke on the phone, and each time the conversation, we'll say they were not happy, and they ended the conversation. But upon reviewing the body camera footage and addressing each of this individual's complaint, in my opinion, it needed to be unsustained. The officers followed everything within policy and within the law. And that information was provided to the chief, and he made his decision. Certified letter was sent to this individual as to the outcome of his or her complaint.
I agree with the recommendation from the captain, in completion of his investigation. When he chose to not sustain a case as well. I sent a letter to the complainant, the civilian complainant, just advising them of such, and we closed the case at that.
That was in July?
That was the start of May.
That was May.
Okay.
So we
And how long ago was it closed out?
early July.
You haven't heard from them, any response, or did he just get the correspondence?
I think we got it July 6th. Yeah, it was the first couple weeks of July, we got the letter.
And you haven't heard back?
Nope,
No?
we haven't heard anything.
Okay.
So,
And what's the time limit before they gotta do something?
90 days.
So there was a second complaint here for individual, fielded by individual. The complaint was he was at a park in town, playground. OSPD received a 911 or a complaint through dispatch that there was a suspicious male. That male was dressed in camouflage, and he was the only person there without a child. Right, playground, parents, children. Our officers responded. Prior to that, dispatcher did request a description of this male, race, ethnicity. The caller stated they could not see because I believe he had a hooded sweatshirt on. So our officers responded, and the individual makes a complaint that the officers should not have responded to this call. It should have mainly had dialogue with the caller. And they're under the impression that it was racially motivated. Although this individual is a black male who is a town resident. Very nice gentleman that actually responds to his residents to meet or come to common ground, and spoke there for maybe 2.5 hours to kind of give them the reasons why officers have to respond and how they respond to certain calls for service. However, the gentleman still insists that it was racially motivated. And it was explained to him that, and his wife, that the dispatch requested a description of race or anything further than just camouflage, male and camouflage. And we just couldn't come to common ground as to that. So I reviewed all officers that respond to the scene or through their body camera. And again, they were professional, they conducted themselves. They were very patient because initially the gentleman, he did have earbuds in, so he's listening to music. So as the officers are approaching him across the field, they do see him alone. You can see on the body camera that he looks like he's by himself. However, as they reach him, he turns around and you see like his granddaughters and his wife. Now they're approaching around the corner, but he turns around and initially he starts to swear and he's upset. He's like, not again. And our officers, again, man, they're training and the professionalism. They were very courteous to this individual, and they gave him an opportunity to explain himself. And I think at the end, once, well, prior to that, one of this individual's granddaughter tells him to, calm down, right? They say that, they're twin grandkids, daughters. One was upset, but the other was, trying to diffuse the situation, which was impressive for a young lady, right, for a child. So, but at the end, the officers did shake hand with this individual, and they parted ways. But I think maybe a day or so later, a complaint was fielded to OSPD. But again, they followed, everything was done within policy. They're very professional. So again, I recommended that it's unsustained. We also did extend an invitation to this individual and the family to come down to the OSPD to meet with the chief, myself, get a tour of the police department, just to kind of build, a relationship with the family, just to show that although certain situations officers have to respond in a certain way, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a racial reason as to why. There are reasons why officers have to respond, where you get a call, suspicious male, camouflage, only one there without a child. We have to investigate. We have to. If not, then our officers they're not doing their job. So I really hope that they would have come to this meeting. But as of now, I have not heard back from them, and hopefully they will come, because we definitely want to build that relationship a little further.
Two questions. Did your investigation include the dispatch call?
Yes,
Okay, and that was handled?
handled, in my professional opinion, perfect.
And second, was this the first instance of any contact between the department and this individual, or have there been priors?
There was a prior incident where the individual, I believe he was on a walk, and then his neighbors, the story told me, his neighbor's house guest from, I believe, a foreigner from, I forget the country, started following him, and then eventually parked in his neighbor's driveway, and then calls the police on this individual. He was a little upset. He didn't make a official complaint on that, but I did discuss that with him at his residence.
So there was some sensitivity here.
There was some sensitivity, and I believe because, due to the fact that when the officer arrived in this incident here, they went to speak to the person in the driveway, which would make sense because they're the one who called. So he was a little, didn't understand why they spoke to that individual first. So again, he feels that it's racially motivated. Could have been, but again, we do have to respond to calls, at least to, if the person calls, they're in the driveway and they're saying this, we have to respond and at least speak to them. And if the person is not, the person in question, they're just walking, we need a little more, it's true, we will need a little more detail as to what this person, just so you're walking down the street doesn't necessarily make you're not a bad person, right? So, that's something that we'll look into further. But that is perhaps a reason why there's a little, like you said, you stayed a little sensitive. And that person lived here for years in this town, so if he counts two, those are only two times that they've mentioned to me.
And how long ago was the offer extended to come to the police
But
department?
there was,
The very first, so I originally talked to him on the phone,
Okay,
when this, so he didn't technically make a citizen complaint. He sent me an email. So I ended up opening the case because I thought there was enough detail in there that we could look into it and make sure that we operated appropriately. When Captain came on, he took it over, but I originally spoke to him, and kind of gave the olive branch to bring, because my concern at that point were, you were saying his granddaughters were traumatized. So I wanted to make sure that we made that right, and that we brought them in and kind of made them, built on that relationship and let them know that that's, their perception of the officers in that instance, is not what we are as police department. And it was a very positive conversation. He was a gentleman. He's clearly a professional person, and it was positive. But I think with him, I don't think we got beyond the history, some of the trauma that he might have. But the officers acted accordingly. They acted within our rules and regulations and within state law and the Constitution, and they did everything that I would expect them to do. So when I got the recommendation from after the full investigation was concluded by the captain, I determined that it was not sustained, and that individual also got a letter.
okay.
So another instance where the body camera helps the police.
Yes, very much so.
and we have extended on several different occasions, an invitation to this individual to come. The last time may have been maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh, recent,
Don't
okay,
quote me.
good.
Right, and the last hour we left the conversation as well. When you're ready, you give me a call.
That's
But I really wish that they come forward and have this conversation, especially for the sake of the grandkids. Even at the house, when I spoke to them, I don't think both were there, but they were, it's a nice young lady, nice little girl,
Right.
right? So I want them to have a positive experience with the police, right? So they know if they need us, we're here, we're the good guys. So I really hope they do come forward and have them move on from there.
Maybe they'll show up to the back to school
Yeah,
event.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's what I figured. I mean, it's not small enough. We're gonna come across them and we're gonna have that interaction and
Yeah.
we're gonna, build on positivity. And that was all we really had. The other thing, personnel matters that I wanted to cover. I just want to make you notified that we are now part of the South Central Connecticut Law Enforcement Council. So as of July 1st, we were rejoined. That's training, that's mutual aid, it's regionalization of some services, some guidance, from the group as well. And it even be the academy for our officers. So it's in-service training. They do have a entry-level component a little bit, but the bulk of it is gonna be in-service training for the officers, me as captain and the lieutenant as well. So there's monthly trainings that we can attend in New Haven, and we will, it's administrative training focused. So we'll be doing that, and we are full members there. And part of that mutual aid compact is that part of this, that agreement. They administrated mutual aid compact that we'll speak of later. And it's a nice resource to have, and I'm pleased and kind of surprised we didn't have it. So that's all we have for personnel matters.
Can I just make one comment here?
Yeah.
Commissioner Notaro Francesco, had asked about putting an update on your goals, and we had talked about possibly August. The only thing I ask is if the chief does prepare that, we all still have the goals that we got. Just make sure you read through them prior to when we do get the update. There's a lot of detail here. I think a lot of questions will probably be answered just reading through this and knowing what we know. But, we can definitely put that on the agenda. I think there's a lot for the chief to cover, and I just didn't wanna not have them have enough time for you prepared for that.
Yeah, I don't know that I've been handling it as a punch list, but I think we're making a lot of progress.
Just reviewing the goals, definitely.
Yeah.
There were some things in the goals that I was curious about, and where you are in the progress, which is why I had raised it. So, I mean, because overall, what you report on a monthly basis is very often what you covered in the goals.
Right.
But there's layers within each goal
Mhm.
that I wanted to at least clarify.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to dissect it and report out on it. So if we want to put it on the agenda for August.
August,
we fine with it.
perfect.
I just have a question about the council. Is that an annual? Something that you rejoin annually, or once that you're a member, it's long-term? How does that?
So it's annually, yeah. So we have to renew it every July at this point. There's a fee associated with that, which we presented, when we did the budget. But it's well worth it.
Okay, good.
So there's numbers that before.
Not that I know, but, you know. I mean, we had two options. There's the law enforcement council, which is, east of the river. It's in London, Norwich, East Lyme. That kind of area. And then South Central was New Haven all the way up to Saybrook. And we're also, what's called Region Two. So it felt like a better fit. We stay within our region, which is Region Two. We're the last town that's allowed to enter the South Central, compact.
Okay.
So there's dues involved.
Yes, yeah.
Remember what they are?
$12,000 for the year. There was some change, but roughly $12,000.
And do they offer, as part of the training, any type of professional development, like the online courses for the officers as well?
They do, sometimes it varies. They use different attorneys to do the online.
Okay.
I think they might be contracted with Ellie Inspector. They do a lot of like, we're doing one, so we have the required body worn camera every year. And it was easiest way to do that was to do a Zoom training. So Inspector, Attorney Ellie Inspector is doing it for us next week.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so this way we don't have to send officers out, it doesn't really cost us overtime replacement.
Mhm.
So it's a way to save money as well.
Nice. Thank you.
Oh, on to professional development updates. Lieutenant Millardo is not here today. Lieutenant Millardo is in charge of our accreditation and professional development, so I'm gonna cover it for her. We have a few different things going on with different officers. Detective Sergeant Williams was taking a internal affairs investigation of the due process rights for officers course. We did the car seat yearly update training, which is mandatory for us to be able to install car seats. Detective Simpson and Officer Costick took that training. First Amendment training was taken by Sergeant Mora. So we sent 3 officers and 2 dispatchers to an active threat incident response training that was held by the state police. They offered us up to 6 seats. The state police really did. They have a new lieutenant, Trubeck. He was a commander of their SWAT team, so he was an absolute expert in the active threat realm. So he invited us to send officers because he wanted to make sure that we were kind of training in collaboration with them. Because to be honest, if we had an incident like that, Trubeck will be responding, but probably everybody. We wanted to make sure that we're doing similar trainings and we understand what they're doing as opposed to what we're doing, and we're doing that in collaboration. So that was important. So we sent 3 officers and 2 dispatchers to that training. I think that was in Montville or I don't remember where the state police held it, but that just happened last week. Practical aspects of peer support and first responder wellness, peer-to-peer training. Sergeant Tanner took that. She's been asking for that training and I thought she was a good fit for that. She's very personable, but she really has an emphasis on the officers and their wellness. And she really, you can see it in her day to day. You know, we get emails all the time for her just giving us insights on our officers' wellness and her concerns sometimes, or sometimes just, hey, kudos that this officer's doing a great job and I want to make sure you're aware. So she was a good fit for that, so she took that. Detective school, that's going on right now, right? Sergeant Ciccone, it's a 5-day school. It's Sergeant Ciccone, Detective Simpson, Officer Costick, and Officer Moriarty are all taking detective school right now. I think you got that school, right? Do you want to
Yeah.
elaborate on that?
No, this wasn't, well, this is through the Chief State's Attorney's office where their prosecutors will be able to put on these classes for us. Of in the past, I've attended several of these courses. It's very good for updates, legal updates, cell phones, search and seizure, recent case law changes to certain case laws, things of that nature. So I think it's very, very helpful. It's a good tool for our officers, supervisor or patrol detective, to bring back to our PD to share with the other officers.
So then, the Amtrak reached out and, with DOT, because of the railroad tracks in town and the train station, they wanted to make sure that our officers were receiving the annual training based on railroad safety and how we respond to some of the incidents on the tracks, whether it be vehicle struck, person struck, missing person, or even sometimes we get foot pursuits and things that we got to chase people onto the train tracks. Unfortunately, with Walmart right there, it happens more often than not. So it was definitely important. When they brought it up, I was like, we're absolutely doing this. So right now they're actually coming to our roll call and they're doing railroad safety training for all of our officers. We're gonna try to make that an annual thing. And they're bringing it to us, so which is nice, and there's no cost to that. Then Sunday, or this past Sunday, was our final EMT class. They're all taking a practical exam now. 8 officers finished EMT training, and they're on to the exam portion. So we're hoping to have them all pass and get them all certified. But I know you had a few things that are not here.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
So I just want to add to this State's Attorney's school. That was absolutely free. They put it on for us. So I like free training, doesn't cost us anything. So that was a lesson for us. There's another training, I'm not sure we're all familiar with the Henry Lee Institute, University of New Haven. Well, they do put on a lot of very good in-service law enforcement training, which I've attended in the past, and they're, in my opinion, some of the best classes that I've been through. They're normally pretty expensive, range from $600 to $800 per student. With the relationships that I've developed with the Institute over the years, was able to get us one free seat for criminal investigations class, started next week. So again, free, and I think this is again information that yes, we'll send Detective Simpson, and then he will be able to bring this knowledge back to the PD, just to apply to his daily duties and just to share with us all.
They developed that as a police academy for detectives, was why that started. New Haven PD started in collaboration with UNH and the State's Attorney's Office. And that's essentially the police academy for detectives. So that's what we're doing there. It's really a great baseline for them. And then, we're gonna continue that as well, and whatever other courses that we can send them, we will. I think, is Coney going to Lita?
Next week, Sergeant Ciccone will send SLI, Supervisor Leadership Institute portion of the trilogy for FBI.
So Ciccone busy, with training, he's got a lot of interest, a lot of it is supervisory and administrative, liability interest. So he's gonna take his second FBI LEDA, course. You take 3 and you finish the trilogy, so he'll be going to that shortly. It was a lot of training. There's an expense to this. You know, it's not just the course, enrollment fees, but the replacement of the officers. But I think it's a worthwhile investment in our department, especially with the longevity that we have. I
It's
think
all budgeted now, isn't it?
it is, you know, but you know, I'll have to start tracking that, this year and make sure that we're on track. So you might not see as intensive training every month, but this is with a great month and, you know, we're able to do it. So we're gonna continue it and, you know, there's officers like, Officer Henry here, he has a lot of interest, traffic is one of his interests, accident investigation is, those are things that the officers bring to me. So it's not just always the department's needs, it's sometimes the officers' desires as well, to keep their interests and keep their expertise. So I think it's valuable to hear that from them. So I think that's all we have for professional development.
We do have to invest in our personnel, and that's what we have.
Yeah.
It's like the kids in the school, we have to fund it, there's not really.
Yeah.
Not a lot of ways around it, if you wanna keep people here and if you wanna keep people interested, it seems like you guys have. Already pinpointed what people are good at or what they're interested in, and it's really noticeable in all of that training.
Yeah, it is a balancing act, you know, officers' interests and desires and department needs. So
But
and
you're creative about,
Yes.
you know,
yeah,
trying to make it happen and strike that balance, so.
and I think we have.
That's
it. We're
appreciated,
successful.
thank you.
And just one quick thing before we move on, Commissioner Wilcox had asked me about EMT training.
Yep.
Well, specifically, yes, for where the chief is at, and I had a conversation when we were doing the agenda. And right now, I mean, I feel it's more important, I think the chief agrees, but we're trying to get as many of our people that are actually out on the road that will be the true first responder. We need to work behind on that, so I think it's important to get that caught up, and then we have the chief and the captain. And begin their training, if that's the order they wanna take it, to me, it seems logical.
Yeah, I think we're gonna start it this year. The captain has actually enrolled in, college courses as well, so. Might be something that he can take through the, state university system. And I'm gonna enroll as well, but I thought, you know, we were a little behind. You know, we're supposed to have all of our officers with them for years, like EMT certified. And we weren't really close to that, so now with these 8 plus the 6 we had, we're.
Inching upwards,
We're getting closer, and I think we're close to being within compliance to the contract for that.
that's great.
So I didn't wanna take a spot, especially I'm not in the field, you know, every minute of the day like these officers are. So I thought it was more important for them to have the certification than me. So even though I gotta go to a call and, you know, I gotta rely on their expertise, I take a back seat, I'm hands to help, but I'm taking direction from them on those calls.
But you really have 2 years to accomplish that for the contract.
I do, I don't wanna wait until the last minute, but yes, yeah, we're gonna get it done.
Just for both of you, keep in mind, there's only 24 hours in a day, it seems like you're packing in a lot of stuff for yourselves.
We'll get there.
Okay, sorry, that was just us.
So I think the activity report, the captain's gonna cover the activity report for the month.
Okay, just looking at for me, the outliers here, if you have any questions you wanna discuss, just let me know.
Well, you've done a revised format on this, it looked like. There was more information, broken down a whole lot.
It's more
succinctly.
specific.
So we changed the categories.
Yeah,
So we didn't have 4,000 categories, we kind of bunched them a little bit, and that's our system, we can consolidate the system. So for like a larceny category, there's 20 larcenies. Same thing for robbery, we're categorizing with. You know, there's a few variations of that, but you're not gonna see a huge list. If it didn't make sense when we're reporting stats to tell you that we had, you know, 10 different types of larcenies, I just wanna tell you we had 10 larcenies for one of them.
very organized.
Yes,
I like
I very much like
Yeah.
this.
It's easier for dispatch and officers to have, instead of having hundreds of codes,
Yeah.
it's more concise.
It's easy on your eyes at a glance.
Right.
Yeah, so. Looking for the car stops, still not where I would like them. We're looking, June sixth is 110, July, June, 110, July to the state, 70 car stops, traffic stops. Again, there have been a lot of professional development, summertime, time off requests, officers on maternity leave. So that's the theory as of now that we're looking at that and other, minor, reasons, why the stats are down. But I'm hoping very shortly we can get those back up to our standards. We see motor vehicle accidents. And last month we were at 48. This month we're at 37. And that's a downturn, and hopefully it continues to trend within that direction. But again, I mean, with the summer season, the population with the triples and more motorists, unfortunately.
What usually we've seen in the past is June and July have a lot of loud parties, noise. They don't seem to be so high this year. Rain?
Hey, maybe, we've had a lot of rain the last few weeks, so perhaps take it. We will take it. I do want to add that we have had a few golf cart complaints, and over the weekend, the chief made the executive decision of just pay a little attention, and our patrolmen and women went out, and as always, so far, they're given a task and they take care of it. So over the weekend, starting Friday, July 24th till, I'll say this morning, they conducted 15, or noticed 14 golf cart violations and conducted stops. It's a lot of verbal warnings. However, I think this will get the message out to the town. When things get a little lax, it's okay. We'll bring it back, tighten it up, and put the guardrails back on for safety for not only themselves but other motorists and pedestrians and members of the town. So I am very pleased with the activity, and I hopefully that'll recalibrate us, if we will. Just remind us that they're can have the golf carts, but they are within reason. Right, there are certain ordinances and laws that we have to abide by.
Talking to people, so traffic going by can see you stopped a golf cart.
Yes, and that's the purpose, right? Not only for the person, but other motorists that see and say, police are paying attention to this. And, we're not against golf carts. However, again, within reason, right? Safety first.
I'm against golf carts driven by 12-year-olds.
And so am I. I
They
think they should.
made one of those arrests this year too, so we've seen that.
The message hopefully
Yeah,
will
it's
get
out
out.
there.
Yes.
This is happening.
Yes, so I think this is a good deterrence here. Have fun, but safe, the safe,
Yeah, well, I
right?
mean, they have to follow the rules. That's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
We're not trying to be overly punitive on anybody, but this is state statute, state legislation. And we're trying to just make sure we're keeping the public safe.
Heightened awareness.
But we had the meeting and we talked about e-bikes and golf carts. And you said you wanted to get a year of this to see how it operated. And you kept your word in the way you're doing it. It's great that you're doing that.
Yeah, I didn't want to fully form an opinion on it. I knew we're gonna adhere to the statute and the legislation, but and the ordinances in town. But I didn't want to be overly because I wasn't confident on the impact it's had on the town. So now that I'm seeing it, I'm hearing from the public, I'm hearing from the commission, hearing from some of our politicians that it is a problem, and we're trying to address it. We're trying to address it first through education and warnings, unless there's a reason that we should be a little more strict. Like, for instance, if injuries are involved in an accident, and we have to respond accordingly.
I have a question on the motor vehicle. I like how Chuck brought this up in one of his questions, and then I feel like it's highlighted more. with the breakdown in the category of incident count by street name and incident count by day of the week. So it appears like Boston Post Road on a Thursday is super active. And then,
That's not, no, it's two different things, so they don't overlap.
oh, they don't correlate back and forth?
No,
Oh, okay.
That's
I
just-
thought
that's just
that
day
it
of the
was
week.
one to the other.
yeah, no, it's just day of the week and then the most active streets we have.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand it that way. All right, well, in any case, so we could see that still Boston Post Road is a hot spot, in comparison to the others. So, with patrol, and now it seems like the construction has kind of settled there. Do you anticipate more or less patrol in that area now that it's kind of,
So we focus our enforcement, so we'll provide this to the sergeants.
Okay.
And then they give the assignments and the districts for the officers. And they'll focus their enforcement efforts based on the data that we have. But you know, Baltimore Road's a tough one because it's its volume.
yeah,
So there's always gonna be
and
more,
timing?
and then traffic lights, and
Yeah.
there's other variables there. It's almost easier to enforce, to be honest, on Boston Post Road, because there's more cars, there's more violations to be had. So that's probably why you're seeing Boston Post Road, but
And there's a lot of construction too going on there
Yeah,
as well.
that was
Both
true.
commercially and with the roads, so.
Yeah, and then with that, you get frustrated drivers too. Then once they come free of construction, they start picking up the pace a little bit, if you will. So we're
Or
aware
rolling
of that.
down their window.
Yeah, right. So.
Okay,
we're
well,
aware
that's
of
good to know.
That's
I
this is the
appreciate
data we
that
use.
distribution to your team, so that.
Yep.
Okay, good, thank
Did
you.
the boat patrol have an easy, 4th of July out there?
No, not really. We had a little incident with the boat, we hit a log in the river, the day before the 4th of July. So it had to be repaired. But back in the water now, fully operational, and we're having the Marine Patrol going, they've been active, they're very active. But it's nice to have it out there, but
You walk down there with our dog and you hear them with the bullhorn,
yeah,
no wake,
yes.
a lot of that.
So then you're gonna have O&G, the construction company doing the railroad bridge. Is now gonna be hiring the boat as well for the wake issue. They did a little bit last year. And that does help some of our funds as well, in terms of the extra fees. I think for the activity report.
I have another question on quote for service under animals. It looked like in June it was 23, then it dropped to 11 up until July 17th. What does that mean, animal? Is that like a lost animal, a wild animal call, animal control officer? How
So
do you-
it really could be any of them, any of the above.
Okay,
You'll even see calls, so you'll see the uptick in calls, especially when we have, animals in our care. Because the animal control officer, the officers have to go out there with a case number when they go feed their care for the animals in our shelter.
okay,
So we have had two, for several weeks. So you'll see an uptick in the call for service, based on the animal control and our funds too, our expenses. So we gotta pay the animal control officer every day to come in, where she's a per diem employee. If we don't have any calls for service or need for maintenance, then there wouldn't be any hours, but. It's been a kind of a busy month for animal control, unfortunately.
yeah, I noticed that. And under that, on that same page, under miscellaneous, the actual line item miscellaneous. So from January through to June, the average is like 28.6, and then it drops to 15. What is miscellaneous being categorized for?
So that was a catch-all and, we were trying to limit what that would be used for, that was for, but I don't actually have the exact.
Okay, because I
I know we
think we
talked about it
talked about,
before.
yeah, so,
Jen knew exactly what we were using it for. It was an administrator code, mainly, I just can't remember what it was, whether it was. Pistol permits or FOIA request or what it was. I think it was some administrative pass.
Yeah, I think he was gonna mention it, bring it back to us, so I'm
Yeah.
just wondering. Okay,
So then on the fleet update, we're in great shape. So based on the purchase of the 9 cars, we have 8 Tahoes in our possession now, and 1 Silverado pickup truck, which is gonna be our K9 vehicle. They're being outfitted roughly 2 at a time at a local vendor, AEP, in town. The lights, the radios, all the emergency equipment is being installed. Hoping to start rolling out the patrol cars early fall. Fully graphic, fully outfitted with the radar, radios, everything ready to go. So we're in great shape. We actually have them in hand and being worked on right now.
I'm getting a discount or
at
Yeah.
Wayland's.
So Wayland, donated. 95% of the equipment from their, all the Wayland, the sirens, the lights. It's roughly like $18,000 a cruiser. So they know the Wayland family has been a close friend of Old Saybrook for many years, and the Kate as well. And they continued that relationship when I came on. I wasn't sure that was gonna continue. But I wasn't sure whose relationship it was, to be honest. But they've been great. I met with them and they were more than willing to help us, and
I think I raised the question just to publicly thank them.
I very much thank them. And one of the things we are doing, thank you for that, thank you to the Wayland family. We are gonna put their logo on the cruisers. So in the small corner of the cruisers, they're gonna have the Wayland engineering logo on there, as well as
That's
another
great.
thank you to them. I mean, this is something that's been going on for many years with Old Saybrook. That they donate the equipment, you know, and they when they ask, we use our cruisers as demonstration showpieces for them. So they outfit us with the latest, greatest stuff that they have. So when there's a need, they just brought a delegation from Taiwan over, and they wanted to see the cars. They were interested in buying rail equipment. So we brought them in, we cleaned up some cars, showed them every gadget we have. We gave them for a building, and answered any question we could, along with the Wayland vendors. So it's a great partnership, and I'm thankful to have them supporting us. And likewise, we do that.
Yeah, I think it would be nice if we had some type of an appreciation plaque ceremony, maybe, or something along that line.
Yeah, I think once we get the cars
Yeah,
starting to roll off the line,
that would be nice.
we'll do something as a thank you to them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Publicity in a local newspaper perhaps too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. My buddy's a pilot for Wheeling. He's one of the captains, and he always talks about the Old Saybrook Police Department, what the relationship they have with Wheeling. And it's just,
Yeah,
when he tells me that, it's pretty cool.
it is. They give us the newest technology, the greatest stuff. We're testing things that sometimes aren't even out in the market yet, which is nice. Yeah, and it's, they've been a good neighbor to have, if you will.
It also seemed as if the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance were very cooperative with allowing surplus funds to be used for some of the equipment that was needed
Yes,
for the
so
cars.
very much so. So, I sent the letter to the Board of Finance. I actually worked on it with our finance director. So when we budgeted for the cars, we didn't budget for radios or computers, which are large ticket items. And our intent was to use some of the surplus funds at the end of the year to buy those things. We wanted to keep the finance amount for our cruisers right around $100,000 per year. We didn't want to inflate the budget much more than that. We wanted to use funds that we already had. And we knew we were gonna have surplus in our accounts based on having some vacancies and a salary. As well as some other expenditures that we knew we weren't going to fully use. So they approved the use of those funds, and so we don't have to put ourselves in a hole next year buying these things that weren't necessarily budgeted for. So we're in great shape. They allowed us to do that. We bought all the computers and all the radios. And the in-cruiser, the watch guard in-car cameras as well, which was very expensive. So we're gonna be in very good shape, for at least
Yeah.
the coming years with these cars. And they're gonna be outfitted the way they need to be, and the officers should be happy.
It was a good spirit of cooperation.
They were very, very supportive.
Yeah.
The first selectman is fully behind law enforcement in this town, it's very obvious, as well as, every commission I've come across so far.
That's great.
So that's all I have, fleet update, community events, just have a couple. We're gonna be doing a back to school event and car seat clinic. It's gonna be hosted by Youth and Family Services and the PD. It's gonna be Thursday, August 13th, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at McMurray Field. I think it's something we've done in the past, and we're gonna continue it. We do have free car seats for those in need as well, which we like to give out. So we don't wanna keep them in a closet, they do expire, they have shelf life to them. The hospital donates those through a grant every year. And we like to get them out in the field in service for anybody that does need them. So if anybody that needs car seats, they can come there and not only get their car seats that they have themselves installed, but they can also receive new ones.
And Youth and Family Services is well aware of this?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Then we're doing a Tip-A-Cop event, September 16th, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. At the Cuckoo's Nest, and it's, the proceeds will go to the Special Olympics, the Connecticut Special Olympics. There will also be raffles and, some other fun things going on that night. The officers will be assisting the wait staff. Essentially what it looks like, and we've done it for a long time in other agencies, the officers will just, approach the table with the waiter, introduce themselves. They give a little card if people want to make a donation separate from their bill. And the officers will kind of just be hands on deck for the wait staff, usually running food. They won't be serving alcohol or really getting behind the bar, nothing like that. They know obviously the bar is open. We're not taking over the whole restaurant. We're just kind of helping out that night and bringing some more patronage to the restaurant, and hopefully some more Special Olympics.
They do that in Branford at Lenny's.
We're trying to outdo Brantford.
Oh, interesting.
So Brantford, every year for many years,
Fundraiser.
they have been. So when we do the torch run, those T-shirts they give us, they list the top 10 fundraising departments. Brantford's always the top. So
Yeah,
also
that's a big
Solano is on a mission to outdo Brantford. Yeah. So, that's all.
What was that date again?
That is September 16th, 5 to 8 p.m. Oh, you want to speak to that?
So Old Saybrook Police, we're gonna launch it's gonna be bi-monthly or every 3 month meeting. We call it a community safety education meeting. It's gonna be held at the Old Saybrook Police Department. The first date will be August 6th. It's a Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. We'll have visitors from Consumer Protection, Old Saybrook Fire Department, and Essex Bank. This will deal with multiple different topics, but the first topic will go along the lines of fraud. It could be the driveway fraud, where people will come and say, hey, your driveway needs to be done, or roof scams, or just even the usual phone calls, fishing for information so they can scam you out of your funds, or tell you, hey, you need to pay this, but hey, you need to go and get some gift cards and then get them to us, give us the numbers. So just things along those lines, especially for our elderly community, which tend to fall victim to this. So this will be a first of many meetings. And I hope see some of the commissioners there as well.
So it's August 6th, but where is it?
Old Saybrook Police Department.
Oh, okay.
And we want it there because again, it's a community thing. We want to build trust, people being comfortable with just coming to the police department and being in our space and making it their space as well. So it'll be the training room.
How are you raising awareness for that?
Sorry?
How is that getting communicated to?
We're hoping word of mouth. We're also doing social media. Put on the town website, our social media.
Let's make a flyer. Is there any way to get something to the estuary or even to
To the
the
library?
estuary and to like your senior housing is
Yeah, we just made a flyer today, so we're
Okay.
gonna start, we're gonna start posting.
Not to say like old people don't go on social media, but you know, sometimes if they see it,
Yeah,
that's.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would that include anything, like, I don't know even the right way to explain this, but the women that get taken by men and send tons and tons
Those are
of
the
money?
love scam as well,
Yeah.
yes, there'll be multiple topics and maybe they won't all be covered in one
Okay.
sit-in, but
Yeah.
that's the thing, it's gonna be an ongoing,
Okay.
item or a meeting. And, I know prior to being hired here, I did mention the, family grievance support group. Didn't forget about it, that's gonna take a little more time to build out, because I wanted to be successful. We wanted to be successful when we do push it forward. So we didn't forget about that, and that's coming,
I
okay?
think those first topics that you said will be really good. I think that's huge. And I have to say that I've had Essex Savings Bank since I was a kid. They are so on it. Like I had somebody try to cash a check. They had taken it from Porter Branford when I paid my bill there. And $8,000, they washed out Porter Branford and they put their name in. And Essex Savings knows like that's not normal practice for me to write a check to an individual. Like they're very good. They pick up on everything. It was during COVID, and so the gentleman tried to cash it in the Madison branch, and then came to Saybrook, and the Saybrook police were waiting for him.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, no, it's crazy what people try to get away with, and the gift card thing, that's another thing. The first time I was at CVS and I was purchasing Dunkin' cards to give to like some of my delivery people. And the lady's like, do you know what these are for? And so I'm like, well, I think coffee and donuts, maybe bagels, I don't know, like, I didn't know what the people would get with them. She's like, no, I need you to read the disclaimer on the screen. You have to read the thing saying that you're not being forced to purchase these cards, and it's unbelievable how widespread that is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a scam going around with the town right now. There are people who are trying to target, businesses and individuals that are applying for zoning in town or building permits. And they'll send an email to them, which asking for a wire transfer. Your permit has been approved. We need the payment by way of wire transfer. It's like transfer here. So there's those emails going around now. Thank God nobody's been a victim. The town personnel, Chris Costa has really been on top of it, and notifying customers, if you will, our citizens, that this is a possibility, and they've taken some safeguards, on the town website to make sure that there's no access to people's personal data that will give them availability to email them or contact them in any manner. So we've corrected some of that, and the town's been really pretty good at monitoring it as well. I think that's all we have for community events. We do a discussion, I have a couple MOUs that I wanted to bring to you just for a discussion, to make sure that, everybody agrees and understands what we're entering into. The first one is it's a state of Connecticut, Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, MOU, memorandum of understanding. So it's a Connecticut Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. I'd like to enter into this and assign Detective Simpson to be our liaison. And essentially what this MOU does, it allows us to take on cyber tip investigations related to the crimes and attempts of crimes against children, a lot of sexual predators, child pornography, things like that, that we want to make sure are appropriately investigated in this town. This MOU, there's a couple different ways we can enter in this MOU. One's undercover investigators, one's forensic analysis, and one's cyber tip investigations. At this point, we just want to do the basic cyber tip investigations. And what that allows for us to do is just to receive the referrals and the evidence, the electronic evidence and the data from the state police and the FBI. Otherwise, they are precluded, they can't share it with us unless we have an agreement with them. They get this information through a bunch of different methods. Some of it is through private entities, databases and software that share it with the FBI. So for us to be able to receive that information, we have to make sure we have this MOU in place, or otherwise they legally cannot share it with us. So that's what this is. It's a really common one throughout the state, something that we should be doing. It's nothing that's, unique to Saybrook by any means.
Does this have any budget impact?
No, the only budget impact it potentially could have is the labor hours of doing the investigations, which I think is appropriate, and I think it
I'm
should.
looking at some, like that, there's an audit paragraph we have to do, is that,
No, they won't require much.
okay?
And they do fund some of this stuff, but and it gets a little more, when you start doing the forensic analysis, is computers and stuff that they will furnish and train, but we're not going at that level right now. If we needed to, say, have a computer downloaded and looked at, it would be either by the state police or probably Middletown PD at this point, potentially New Haven, right? But we're at this point, we're just looking to, they're gonna get their referrals for investigations. So the expense would be the investigation itself.
And that we would do anyway.
Right. So that's, I mean, this requires my signature and the first selectman, but I wanted to see if there's any concerns about this. I did share with the commission, previous to this, so, we had time to look it over.
And I thought both of these were great.
Yeah.
The only other question I had was on this mutual police assistance compact.
Yep.
It says, the undersigned municipalities, the only one is us.
Yeah, well, it's because they already, so this is already, been in
Already
place for.
signed by others.
Yeah, so all they're really gonna do is take our page.
Okay, but who are the others?
It's all of the towns in the south central region.
Okay,
Um,
so it's New Haven to Old Saybrook.
yes, yeah, exactly. So to speak on that, so the next one is the South Central Connecticut Mutual Assistance Compact. And South Central Connecticut, the association we just joined, they put this together, they administer it, they make changes to it as needed. Essentially what this does is it just unifies the response, when an agency calls for mutual assistance.
And
Based on the
it clarifies who's paying for what.
And that too, it does clarify who's paying, because you're not sitting there after.
Good idea.
Incident, like, hey, you owe me, I owe you. And then it clarifies and it's benefit to the dispatchers and the officers that if we're calling for mutual assistance, you know that it says for the level 1 category, Troop F is sending 4 cruisers. Madison is sending 2, Guilford sending 1. It delineates exactly the response called code blue. And it really makes it easy, and you know what you're getting. And then as a supervisor or a commander, to know what level you're requesting, to know how many cars you're getting. And the same thing for us, is for how many we have to send. If Madison calls for assistance, we know that we have to send 2 for level 1. So it's based on your size and how many cars you have on the street. So you'll see like a response from New Haven will be much larger than a response from us.
So we have the right to refuse to participate in any incident if necessary, if we find ourselves short on personnel for some reason.
Yeah, so, yes, so if we have our own incidents going on, if we can't send, we don't have the resources available. Yes, we can make that decision that hey, sorry, we don't have. You have to go on, and then there's a process for that, they have to go on to the next closest agency that has available units. And I've seen that's happened in Old Saybrook. I think I've actually heard some radio calls in the past about that. Where we're calling around for resources, and everybody was tied up at the time. So at least you have an understanding of where you're going for these resources and who's next.
Hey, Renee, can I ask a question? Renee,
Oh, go ahead.
next month, do you think you could give us an update on the perf, on what we are and all our goals with the perf? Because we haven't talked about, because everything's going so smoothly. But I think the public, spent a lot of money for the.
Yeah, I can do that too. I mean, to be completely honest, I haven't been using it as a checklist. I use it as a guiding principle when I came in, the things that I wanted to accomplish and I thought the public was demanding, and as well as the police commission's desires. But I don't have like a checklist of everything that the perf is requiring, but I think we're making progress. I can go through it again and tell you where we're making progress and what we haven't touched on. And be honest, what I don't agree with. There might be some things in there that I'm like, I don't, being here for almost a year, I can tell you it's not relevant or it really is inaccurate. So I can touch on that and go through it again, yeah.
Do we need to vote on these, to move them forward?
I don't.
Yeah, there was really just discussion. There really was no action item on this. Doesn't require police commission signatures. Is just wanted, before I entered into it with Carl, first selectman for Fortuna. Wanted to make sure that we had a discussion, that there was any concerns that kind of talk about it and, you know.
Well,
Don't sign it.
a show of hands, I approve, I favor both of these.
I agree.
I do too.
Oh, that was it for that.
Yes, and I just circle back to the community events.
Yeah.
Is there any way that Officer Solano can just send an email, even if it goes to all the commissioners, when something's gonna come up? Okay, a community thing ahead of.
Yeah, I
time.
can authorize that. I could ask her to do that.
Okay.
We plan them. Not a bad idea. At least have a calendar of events available to you.
And we'll check.
Yeah.
This already.
I don't have Facebook,
Right.
so I don't have any platform for social media.
Okay,
So I learned of this through my neighbor and I was caught a little off guard. 'Cause
all right.
I
We can
didn't know
easily do
about
that. If it's easy just to share the image too on an email too.
Yeah, so that way we all are all notified at the same time.
Yeah, I think we were doing a calendar event. I don't know if we got
We
away from
did
it.
start that,
We might have got away from it.
yeah, so that might be.
Your request.
It was.
Yeah, I'll make sure we're back on track with that. But an email as they come up is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
We're creating the flyer, all this cut paste and email.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Or just scan the flyer and just send it to Simon.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen.
I think that's all I have for that discussion item on H. I don't know if we want to move on to comments.
Okay, yeah, is there any comments from the public, the live audience? Larry, is there anybody online with their hands raised?
Hold on a second, just checking.
One person.
Yeah, let's end with a one next to it.
Yeah, that one happens to be me, I believe.
All
Yeah,
right.
no, there are no guests with their hands raised.
Okay.
Okay, Larry, what's your question?
Don't have one tonight.
Okay, comments from the team.
Yeah, so I had a few. One, I wanted to express my gratitude, thanks to the officers and our civilian staff that made Celebrate Saybrook and July 4th successful. It was, like I said earlier, it was a lot of labor hours, but it was about an 18-hour day for some of our employees, and some of them were coming off midnights, taking a small rest and coming back. It was an all hands on deck event, and it was I was very pleased of the outcome and the level of effort that our officers put in. July 4th, same thing. It was a hot day. We had officers. Nobody had to be ordered to work, but they volunteered. Some, maybe didn't want to work, but they jumped on it, and because they knew there was a need. Like our bike patrols, I think it was very successful. Like Terrence had mentioned, they hit every beach community. It was a hot day, and they were sort of going from one association to the next, throwing the bicycle and the cruiser, going to the next, and it was taxing on them. But it was really nice and well received. That same thing with all the golf cart parades, all of them launched at the same exact time, 10 a.m. Everybody takes off. So I was able to do one, and we kind of divide and conquered, and all the officers did a great job, and that was just the very start of the day. And we had to deal with all the partying and fireworks and everything else and drinking for the rest of the day. Like Terrence offered, next year to open up the clubhouse for the officers so they can have some air conditioning and maybe a drink of water. So the community was behind it, and it was nice, and it's something that we can continue. So my biggest thing today is thanking our officers and letting them know that I see them and I appreciate them as well.
We do too.
So, and then there was two of things that came up, and I know I notified the commission on, but I wanted to speak up. Captain Crawford is going to be continue to be a member of the cold case, State Attorney cold case unit. He really acts as a liaison for not only for our department, for every department throughout the state, reviewing cold cases, mainly homicide, shootings, violent crimes. putting his expertise and his eyes on all these cases for other agencies. I think you're working on one for Harper right now. And assist the state's attorneys, which is really, a unique relationship, and it's an honor to have somebody from Old Saybrook on there. There's very few detectives or captains, lieutenants that are able to do that or are selected to do that. It's really, there's no number. It's when the state's attorney sees value, he appoints, and it's rather rare. So it's definitely a great honor, and he did this solve a cold case homicide from Hamden in 2021 as well, and he got arrest warrant signed. I don't know if you, do you want to speak or?
Yeah, yes, I would like to. So as far as the cold case unit, it is a good for us to have a relationship with the chief state's attorney and the cold case unit. For example, I've learned since I've become a member of our family at Old Saybrook Police Department, we have a couple cold case homicides here. I'm very interested in them. Once I get, a little more grasp of, a little more comfortable with the town and my duties, I do want to dive in there and into these cases, and it's a perfect segue to get the cases to the cold case unit to get more experienced detectives and eyes on these cases, and maybe we could move it forward. There's no promise, but it's always good to look at these cases now with the advancements in DNA. Mainly DNA, right? Because those DNA is able to solve cases from 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. So so it's worth a look. So that's part of the agenda. Selfishly, what we will get from it, one of the things Old Saybrook will get. Imagine we were able to solve a homicide from 1980. I don't know, but we'll try. I do want to extend thank you to the chief and the commission here. Just this 2021 homicide, I've been working this homicide for 5 years. Been to different states, and that's leaving him, the chief still gave me the ability to finish the case, right? Which when you're a homicide detective or an officer, the last thing you want to do is just leave it. So that was my last unsolved homicide that I personally had, right? So I do appreciate that. I'm sure when everything comes out, the family, the mother, they'll be very appreciative of it. So I do want to thank you for that, right? And your patience and allowing me to do it.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, good job. Thank you. So I think that's it for our comments. Okay.
I can't see that part, that Officer Henry said be here.
Yeah.
Does he need to say anything?
No, I think you just come to
Oh, just coming to watch. Okay. Okay, comments from the commissioners. Mark, would you like to start?
Sure. I just wanna thank you for enforcing the golf carts, because I hear it all the time from people, saying, hey, this golf carts are not registered, this cute, and it's really nice that you guys are doing that, and the Old Saybrook there, you guys were just fantastic. Next year, I'm gonna request that you all wear shorts. I mean, you guys look like you were dying with your long pants on that day.
Neither of us wear shorts.
Yeah.
We will, of course,
Maybe another 15
The officers
years.
Yeah.
But anyway, you guys did a great job, and really, I gotta thank Jen. She was there for everybody. She was running everybody around. She did a great job that day.
Yeah, I agree.
But thank you for all the hard work you've done. Congratulations on what
Thank
you
you.
discussed.
Thank you, sir.
I just would like to recognize Larry once again, behind the scenes, the voice up there, and his diligence in coming here with us every Monday. That we.
It's always my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
I'm good.
I have a few questions. Just wondering about the school room numbers. Have we thought about that or discussed?
We thought about it today, actually.
We've actually spoke
Okay.
about it
So
today.
Joe just reminded me that we gotta get on that, and so we're gonna work on it, put a plan together with Board of Ed this week. And start working on it, so it's available and ready for the start of the school year.
Okay. And there's no change in the SRO officers?
No, we're lucky we retained all three. We're lucky to have all three of them. I'm very pleased with all of them. And, it was a successful year.
I think the other event that you were speaking of was the graduation.
Yes,
And that was a big success, and it was nice when
the parade,
there was the escort for the parade. It was really nice when you came by.
you are right, that was,
So,
yes,
yeah.
thank you for
No problem. And then the hero demo for the scheduling?
that. Yeah, you know what, we didn't have our staff here tonight,
Okay,
so I wanted the lieutenant to be able to kind of walk us through it. She helps out with a lot of the scheduling, so we'll probably put that off to August, but it's up and it's live, it's running, it's working well.
good.
The last component that we need for it is it to merge into our payroll system, which is UKG, and, I know, Amy in finance has been working with the software developer to kind of make sure that they speak together. They gotta build what's called a bridge or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, for our purposes, it's worked great.
And just to recognize Officer Egan and also Captain Crawford, if we could have maybe a cake or something for them as Officer of the Year.
Yeah, we can do something. We've kind of delayed on Egan because, to be honest, we've recognized him twice already.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it was like, it would have been kind of redundant. So I was kind of trying to find a reason, and this could be one to kind of merge it into.
Okay,
Because we went to the Exchange Club and had dinner and, gave him their, acknowledged that he was getting the award one night. With me, Captain Officer Egan, and then the Exchange Club members at Luigi's. And then a month later, we went to the AquaTurf for their ceremony, for the brief public ceremony for all the agencies that were having officers recognized. So we've kind of done it twice already. So, but it doesn't mean we can't do it. I was kind of looking to kind of merge.
or maybe like a general appreciation
Yeah,
for the officers. They had a lot going on in a short amount of time.
I agree.
So it'd be nice just to, all of us attend and just
Yeah,
hang out a little bit.
yeah, we could
Get some
we'll figure
face
something
time.
out. Get it ready together.
That would be nice. Thank you. That's all I have.
Carl? I just wanted to touch base on the Celebrate Old Saybrook event. And thank all the officers for their dedication. My wife and I had a great time. You know, we had friends that we didn't know were there that came from like Danbury area and stuff that heard about it on the news and came up, and it's surprising when you get a mixture of people from all that aren't just residents of Old Saybrook to have an event go off without too many hitches, you know?
Saybrook's an easy sell.
Yeah,
So it was, but we had, quite a few, TV stations picked it up. But then also WPLR, Chaz and AJ show.
oh yeah, I saw it, Carl.
Yeah, so
I
they-
heard about it.
yeah, they put it on there first, so that was, we kind of got that side of the state a little bit for us.
Yeah,
So it was well publicized.
fantastic. Well,
That's great.
congratulations, nice job,
Thank
you
you.
guys.
I just have a couple of things. I want to thank the captain and the chief. I think this has been a very smooth transition. I'm very happy the department is headed where it's going. Thank you to all the people that work in the department, not just the officers, but the dispatchers, all the support staff. I was actually in there and I said to Jen, did you guys paint in here in the lobby? She's like, oh no, but they really cleaned it. And I can't see that well, and it would look spotless in the lobby. So I think things are moving along and I'm happy about that. But most importantly, I just want to address the commission. I know some commissioners are concerned that maybe there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Trust me, there's not, and I would hope that we'd all be very relieved by that. We've had a very few, like, the last 4 years have been very rough. We spent 2 entire years on bylaws. We moved into our whole perf fiasco. We moved into then hiring a chief, hiring a captain. I'm relieved that we're where we're at. I'm glad that our meetings aren't contentious, that I don't leave here thinking about it for the next 5 days and getting more and more aggravated. So I'm happy where we're at, but if anyone has any concerns, please contact me. I think we're in a good place.
And I think you're doing a great job as chair.
Thanks. Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.